It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes for the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Go to BuiltBar.com and use promo code LOCKED15, and you will get 15% off your next order. It is Monday, April 12th in the year 2021. And even though the weather is a little colder outside, a little dark, a little gloomy, a little rainy as well, that's not going to detour how much fun we have this week here on Locked On Buckeyes. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at JStevens07. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter as well at Locked On Buckeye. Lined up for today is segment 2. We'll talk about one former Buckeye that's going to be making his head coaching debut in college football. First head coaching job in his lifetime. Segment 3, going to talk about the transfer portal and a few centers that are in there that Chris Holtman might be able to get. We begin today's show talking about one Buckeye that just lost his black stripe. Some of you may have thought he would have been the first Buckeye to lose their black stripe during spring practice, but he comes in at number 4. TreVeyon Henderson, one of the most sought-after talents in college football when it comes to the running back position. One of those guys when you look at the talent, look at the film, you're like, wow, this guy can play. This guy can play. Like when you put that with the talent that is inside the 2021 recruiting class for Ohio State, you may have this word come to mind: loaded. This class is loaded, full of talent, or a phrase such as, ain't nobody going to be able to beat us now. You know how Buckeye fans are. Ain't nobody going to be able to beat us now because we got all this talent coming to Columbus. Ryan Day and his boys are going to go in their lab, whip something together, and man, that formula, the outcome, it's going to be amazing. TreVeyon Henderson comes in to be the second offensive player to lose their black stripe, right behind Marvin Harrison Jr. was the first, and then he is the fourth. The other two individuals to lose their black stripes: Jacob Cowan, who is a redshirt freshman. He was a freshman last year, was not available in any game last year due to injury. And with you being injured, you can't lose your black stripe until you're off of injury. He was the first individual to lose his black stripe this year. And then also Jack Sawyer. I don't know why his name escapes me. Defensive end. He was the first true freshman defensive player and the only true freshman defensive player to lose his black stripe so far during spring practice. TreVeyon Henderson listed at 5'10", 210 pounds. Now that comes right from the Ohio State website. There are other places that I've seen 5'11", 195, but 5'10", 210. That size, 210, 15 pounds added to his frame. I like that a whole lot better than that 195. He has 4.5 speed, which as an incoming freshman, that 4.5 speed is amazing. 4.6 isn't bad. I think sometimes as fans or some analysts as well, people lose sight about how fast 4.6 is, about how fast 4.5 is. Yes, Justin Fields is upset because he didn't run a 4.3 at his pro day. He will have a chance to do that. It's coming up in a couple days on Wednesday. We'll talk more about that at the beginning of Wednesday's show. But people lose sight of how truly fast 4.5 is. I saw a stat or a number. There are maybe 500 people in America that could run a 4.3. Maybe. Now, with track speed out there, that number may be a little bit higher. That's just a number that I saw when doing a search quickly before recording the show. I don't know how accurate that is, but let's just think about if there's only 1,000 people that can run a 4.3 in America. That's not a lot of people. That's really, 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 really fast. 4.5 speed Trevion Henderson has. 5-star recruit out of Hopewell High School in Hopewell, New Jersey. He is the third highest running back signee in school history. 1 through 4 go like this: B.D. Wells, Sam Maldonado, Trevion Henderson, and Maurice Claret. He was the number 1 running back in 24/7 Sports. That is Mr. Henderson. He had over 4,000 rushing yards in high school. Now, what interesting thing about him? Versatility. He's versatile. Something I think he did his freshman and sophomore year will help him as a running back. He was a wide receiver and defensive back as a freshman and a sophomore. He didn't become a full-time running back until his junior year of high school, to the tune of 2,424 rushing yards, 45 touchdowns as a full-time running back his junior year. Also, in the state title game, he had 4 touchdowns as well, 3,200 all-purpose yards, a couple accolades he got his junior year of high school, 2019 Gatorade Player of the Year, USA Today All-USA second team on the offense, junior year as well. His senior year was derailed, didn't happen, and his school had a spring football season, not a fall football season. So due to that, he wanted to enroll at Ohio State early. He did decide to go ahead and forego playing a senior season of high school football and enroll early at Ohio State. Who will be the next true freshman to lose their black stripe? Will it be Evan Pryor or somebody else? I know a lot of you have your eyes on Emeka Egbuka. With a name like that, I want to say against them quickly, and I'm glad, as somebody that has struggled lately with pronouncing names, that I've got that one right early on. Emeka Egbuka, who will it be? Evan Pryor, who will it be that'll lose their black stripe next? Message me, tweet at me, let me know what you think. I'll let you know what I think. We'll have a fun back and forth together as we get excited about the future and potential that these young men have as Ohio State football players. Let's step away very quickly. When we come back, we'll talk about one former Buckeye that'll be making his head coaching debut, which is also his first time as a head coach at any level. But first, check this out. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. Football might be over, but NBA, college basketball, and the NHL are in full swing. BetOnline even covers awards, TV shows, and reality TV. Real-time updated odds and props on almost anything you can imagine. BetOnline has you covered for all the news, scores, and odds. It's the best way to place your bets, and guys, it's even free to sign up. Head to betonline.ag on your computer or mobile device. And when you sign up today, make sure you use promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Once again, go to betonline.ag on your computer or mobile device. And when you sign up today, make sure you use promo code LOCKEDON and receive your 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, your online sports book experts. Get all the sports news you need in under 20 minutes with the new Locked On Today podcast. Host Peter Bukowski updates you on the latest news in every major sport with the help of our local experts. Follow the Locked On Today podcast on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. Some of you may be wondering, where is the news about Dwayne Washington Jr.? Well, right before this episode on your podcast listening feed, you should have seen the emergency episode that was done Friday afternoon going into the evening when the news was announced that Dwayne Washington Jr. was going to enter the NBA draft. Go check that out. About a 15-minute episode. Had a couple different thoughts as far as the initial thought about him and him becoming an NBA player, and how the roster, what's left over with the roster, about how they fill that hole if he does not come back and if he does not keep his college eligibility. Go back and check that out. About 15 minutes on that. Trust me, quick listen, a lot of her information in a short amount of time. Anytime, this is the season right now, anytime somebody is a first or is doing a first, everybody gets excited. Everybody gets happy. Maybe more times than normal because we're seeing coaches, we're seeing people that are black, people that are Asian, people that are Hispanic, doing things that are the first for them, or even white people as well, that are the first for them, maybe in their life, or maybe just their race has never done something before, and everyone's getting excited. The reason why I mentioned the minorities first, because a lot of them are getting the first for their family, for just them in general. Hubert Davis, the first black basketball coach at the University of North Carolina, the fourth black coach in any athletic sport in the school's history. Now you see where I'm going. Now, I'm not going to the race card as far as saying the first black coach to do X, Y, or Z, but this is the first opportunity for Mr. Eddie George, former Heisman Trophy winner, former Ohio State Buckeye running back, a man that I loved watching him play for the Titans, playing in the NFL. Hasn't played, I believe, since 2006, and he retired. His running style, watching him play, just the way he carried himself, I enjoyed watching him play football. And I will definitely enjoy watching him roam the sidelines as the head man or the head coach for the Tennessee State University, HBCU, in the same city, Nashville, where Eddie George played his NFL career as a running back for the Tennessee Titans. So there is that connection there. The city already loves him. He knows the area very well. I'm sure he knows how to recruit, or he will get help figuring out how to recruit that area. I am excited for the future for Mr. Eddie George to see what it is that he does as the head man at Tennessee State University. Tennessee State University currently is 2-4 on their season, has a spring football season due to the Rona. A couple things in regards to Eddie George. As someone that doesn't have any head coaching experience, or really nothing at college at all, aside from head coaching experience, you would hope that he would have people around him to help him benefit and help these young men in the ways that they need help, not only on the football field, but off of the football field as well, because he knows these moms and dads that are sending their young men to him to play the football. They're going to say, Eddie, look, I know you're going to have my son at the best spot for him to be successful. I know that. But even more than helping him be a great football player, I want you to help build him into being a great young man. That's one thing about these HBCUs that a lot of people, just college in general, a lot of people lose the sight of that. A lot of people forget about, wait, he's a football player. Yeah, he's a football player, but most of these guys are not playing professional football or playing football after college. Now, granted, you could have football overseas. My brother played a year of football in Australia. You could have indoor football league, an arena football league. Some guys play semi-pro, which you don't really get paid much money at all. So there's so many ways to play after college, but at the same time, most players aren't even going to go that route. So most guys aren't going to the NFL. Most guys aren't playing football after college. So helping build young men is ideal and smart and wise. And these, trust me, these mamas, they're going to look at Eddie George and say, look, I'm entrusting you. I'm putting my youngster, my son, into your hands. Hey, sir, don't screw this up. And I'm sure he understands, or he knows what goes into that, or what you may think. But in a situation like this, you truly do not know every detail, dotting every I, crossing every T. You don't know what goes into that until you're right there in the trenches of it. Eddie George, when it comes to building a staff, putting people around him that'll help him be the best coach he can be, there's two names that I saw. One is a sure thing. The second is a probable thing. One, Jeff Fisher, Eddie George's former coach, will have an advisory role with the football team. I got to say, bravo. You get a coach, a well-respected football coach. You get a coach that you know very well. You get a guy you know well that everybody respects to help you be the best coach you could be. When you don't know how to be a coach, you may know how to, you don't know the day-to-day operation. A football schedule is probably a whole lot different than the normal schedule that Mr. Eddie George has had so far. I like this a lot. find somebody you know that you trust to help you get acclimated and help you with the day-to-day operations. Indiana University just hired Thad Mana in an advisory role for Mike Woodson. Mike Woodson, an NBA lifer, after leaving Indiana University to play basketball. He went on to the NBA, I believe it was a 10-plus year NBA career, has been a coach for decades in the NBA, assistant and head coach, going to Indiana right now to be the head coach, and he needs somebody above him that knows everything, that's been in college basketball for a long time, that can help him with the recruiting, that can help him with just the school and the class and all of those things. Student athlete. There's a reason why the NCAA put student first. It makes sense anyway. Even if the NC2A didn't do that, putting student first does make a lot of sense. Advisory role for Jeff Fisher, very, very good. I like this opportunity. Also, he hopes to hire Hugh Jackson as his offensive coordinator. I know many of you, as soon as I said Hugh Jackson, have a thought or two, maybe negative about the young man. Some of y'all may have positive things, but he's also well respected. I don't know if you guys watch I Am Athlete. It's a YouTube podcast thing that Brandon Marshall, Chad Ochocinco, Chad Johnson, Channing Crowder, and Fred Taylor do. They have had Bubba Wallace on. They've had Dwayne Wade on. They've had Ryan Clark on. The first season, they had my guy Reggie Wayne on. So Hugh Jackson was on there, and I was watching that episode. This is probably around Christmas time. When they were interviewing him, talking about his upbringing, talking about Baker Mayfield, talking about just Hugh Jackson, the coach and the man, and seeing how those former athletes, some of them are going to be, well, I know Fred Taylor should be in the Hall of Fame, but a lot of those guys were all pro and Pro Bowls, all that stuff. Seeing how they respected and how they viewed Hugh Jackson and how they looked at Hugh Jackson, the man, and how they just kind of revered him maybe, it was really eye-opening and eye-popping to say a lot of fans view Hugh Jackson a lot different than former players do. Now those players are inside the organization. They may view things different, but a lot of players out there truly respect Hugh Jackson and the mind that he has. I am on the record here, maybe not here, other places. I'll be on the record here. I am a firm believer that not every coach is meant to be a head coach. I'm also a firm believer that you got to give a coach longer than a couple years to really implement his system and to get things rolling the way that he wants them to get rolling. A couple years does not show you what kind of coach a person is going to be. Hugh Jackson, OC, helping Eddie George, a guy that's been a football coach for a long time, that's well respected as well. Two good moves. Jeff Fisher, advisor. Hugh Jackson, OC. Who else? That's a possibility with Hugh Jackson. Who else could it be? Who else will be there? We'll have to wait and see what happens next. When we come back, speaking about what happens next, when we come back, we'll go to the basketball. Chris Holtman has a hole at the center position. How will he fill it? Who will he fill it with? Stick around to discuss how that might happen. But first, check this out. There's a good chance you're a person like me that loves a good protein bar. I mean, the protein bars that fit your macros, fit your diet, don't have you deviate from any of your plans to help you hit your fitness goals, and they taste good as well. Well, guys, Built Bar might be exactly what you're looking for, because Built Bar is great for the health-conscious guy to help you lose and maintain weight while indulging in a delicious treat. Bars are low-calorie, low-sugar, high protein, high fiber, and they're even great for the keto diet. And one thing that's special about Built Bars, they are covered in 100% chocolate. Go to BuiltBar.com and use promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, and you will get 15% off your next order. Once again, go to BuiltBar.com and use promo code LOCKED15, and you will get 15% off your next order at BuiltBar.com. April 19th through the 26th, listen to the Ultimate Mock Draft 2021 presented by Odyssey and the Locked On Podcast Network, featuring analysis from NFL experts Michael Irvin, Brian Baldinger, and Michael Lombardi, our local experts for every team making trades and picking the next stars of their team. Follow the Ultimate Mock Draft 2021 podcast feed on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. As we wrap up and close out today's episode of Locked On Buckeyes, I want to remind you guys, if you guys have not subscribed to Locked On Buckeyes on the YouTube, there's a YouTube page solely and devoted to Locked On Buckeyes. Every single video, what we might start doing is that there is an interview that is a part of a show that does not take up the entire section of that show. We might put that up by itself, as well as the entire episode as well. Locked On Buckeyes on YouTube. Subscribe so you don't miss a beat. Also, subscribe to Locked On Buckeyes on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, WKYC.com. You can check us out there as well. So many places to stay up to date and to make sure you don't miss any episodes of Locked On Buckeyes. One thing Chris Holtman, we got to wrap this thing up fairly quickly. One thing Chris Holtman does not want to miss out on. One thing Chris Holtman knows he needs to do this offseason is fill a hole. Today we'll talk about the big men. Tomorrow we'll talk about the guards because there's a hole at both spots. In regards to the big men, via the transfer portal. Now this is coming at the time of recording. It's being recorded on Monday morning, that is. 24/7 Sports has a transfer portal section on their website. Yes, the transfer portal is that in-depth. It is that large. At one point, I heard there were 1,100 players on there. I think there are maybe closer to 1,200 players on there right now. Hey, there's a lot. There's a lot of people in this transfer portal. And you're wondering, did they transfer because for the right reasons, for the wrong reasons? Why did they transfer? Would it make sense for Chris Holtman to go out and get these or one of these young men? No matter if E.J. Liddell comes back or not, no matter if Kyle Young comes back or not, Ohio State needs a big man on the basketball court. Let's say E.J. Liddell comes back and Kyle Young comes back. You keep Zed Keel on the bench. We saw how things transpired last year. We saw how things went for the basketball team last year. I don't think you're very happy with the E.J. Liddell, Kyle Young combo against the teams that had a beefier or a massive big man. If you put Kyle Young on him, well, Kofi Cockburn's going to eat him alive. If you put Hunter Dickinson on Kyle Young, you know who won that battle? Luka Garza. He was the Wooden Award winner, National Player of the Year. Now, granted, the Big Ten had a lot of big men, but you even have Liam Robbins, Minnesota, who ate Ohio State alive as well. I believe he had 27 points in that first matchup. There may be 8 to 10 big men right here on the transfer portal. That's right here with 24/7 Sports. It looks like more than 10 big men. But some of the men, the first one I was going to go for and say, hey, keep him in conference. You already know how he plays. You already know how he has an upper hand on a lot of guys in the Big Ten right now. I was going to say go out and get Liam Robbins, 7 foot, 235-pound center, transfer from Minnesota. It looks like right now it's not locked in stone. It's not set in stone just yet. But it surely looks like Liam Robbins to Vanderbilt is going to be an option right now. We all know 24/7 has a crystal ball or the predictor. 100% surely looks like he is going to Vanderbilt. But among the others that are still available but that are uncommitted, Walker Kessler, 7'1", 245-pound center, transferring from North Carolina. Aiden Igenhan, here we go with these names again. 6'10", 235-pound center from Louisville. Ira Lee, Arizona, just fired Sean Miller. Makes sense why he would leave. Qudus Wahab, 6'10", 230-pound center from Georgetown. Now, Georgetown just lost one center. I surely hope Patrick Ewing does not want to lose both. He'll probably do everything in his power to get him to to stay at Georgetown. But you got to think something might be interesting. 6'10", 190-pound Matrice Mitchell from Minnesota. Me personally, cross him off the board. As talented as he might be, 190 pounds, not the ideal weight for a Big Ten or for an elite college basketball center right now. You got to put a little bit more meat on those bones, young man. You got Josh Carlton from UConn, Sam Freeman from Minnesota, who also is transferring. They just lost Richard Pitino, just got fired, took a new job, I think less than 24 hours later at, not Nevada, somewhere out there out west. You have Joe Henderson, center from Wisconsin. You have a lot of guys here, but who is the one that you may go and get? Walker Kessler, North Carolina. If Hubert Davis is not able to keep him there in Chapel Hill, and Chris Holtman is able to snag him and say, come on over. You see the way too early top 25s. You see the amount of talent we have at Ohio State. We need you. We need you to come over here, corral this team. You coming back will help E.J. Liddell because it's going to raise his draft stock. Because if he's playing down low all the time, that's not where he's playing in the NBA, in the association. If you come over here to help us out, and if you come over here to be the big man that we need, look, we can go places. And Mr. Walker Kessler, you can go along to those places with us. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at jsteven07. You could also follow the podcast on Twitter as well at Locked On Buckeye. If you want to send me an email, jstevens317 at gmail.com. If you missed the Dwayne Washington Jr. emergency episode about him declaring for the NBA draft, go check that out. It's on YouTube. It's on the podcast app you're using right now. If you're listening via the audio-only portion of the podcast, go check that out. We will be back tomorrow. Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to do what I am going to call my analysis and breakdown of if Ohio State should alter their base defense from a 4-3 to a 4-2-5. We'll explain what a 4-2-5 is, what 4-3 is, the benefits, the hindrances, the pluses, the minuses together over a Wednesday, Thursday slate. Tomorrow, we will be right back. More transfer portal talk, and hopefully one of those two freshmen loses their black stripe as well.